This segment sponsored by Summit Physical Therapy. Ergonomics is the study of the physical relationship of work and how it relates to an individual and affects their body. And physical therapist Andreas Lohmar and Austin Jacoby from Summit Physical Therapy is here to break it all down. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back.
Hi. Yeah, good to see you again.
Yes. Okay, so this is such an important topic, and I'm sure that employers and employees face this challenge every day at work. So let's start off, Andreas. Will you break down what is ergonomics and how does it really affect us?
So again, ergonomics is the study and the science of fitting the worker to the job. So we want to make sure that the worker has the physical capacity to carry out all the physical demands of the job. And sometimes an employer might notice that they have very specific injuries on a certain job. So one job just consistently produces a lot of neck injuries or a lot of shoulder injuries, a lot of back injuries. And so that's where they might, want to contact us so we can come in and say, okay, here's what you can do better. And then we might also say, it might be worth on your future hires to look at, are these people a good fit for this particular job? Just like men are not a good fit for small piece assembly because we're too klutzy, our hands are too big, we assemble things too slow, and so we're not efficient, and that's not a good job for us. So just like a smaller person is not the right job, not the right person you might want in a warehouse to lift a bunch of boxes.
Yes, and that can range, can't it? I know a lot of times people think about lifting and having the proper protocol if there's something heavy, but it's just a matter of sitting at your desk and utilizing your computer, or like you said, having your head tilted down, or getting carpal tunnels or arthritis, and all these things can be an effect from not having a proper setup in the workplace. So Austin, would you mind sharing a bit more about how companies can really change their work environment to help support their employees?
Yeah, I think it comes down to whoever's designing the workspace and the leadership when they think about the cost of setting up the office. And you go through Amazon and buy basic chairs or basic desks, and you think, well, you know, we just need the basics. But the hour someone sits in the chair working with the computer, I think up front, spending a little bit of extra money and time working with somebody like Summit Physical Therapy and having someone say, hey, would you look at this? What kind of chairs do we really need? What kind of setup do we need to consider, or an evaluation process? It's a lot cheaper to spend some money on the front end than have employees calling out of work, going through potential surgeries, you know, your worst case scenarios, or quitting the job because sitting is tough.
Yeah.
You know, people are saying sitting is the new smoking, you know, so to speak. You know what I mean? And so we need to, for the time we're going to sit, we need to sit well. And it's hard to do that. And I think also cut corners.
Cut corners, yeah. And Andreas, I know that you've shared some really great tips with us about how we can utilize different items to sit better and to hold our posture up straight. And you offer consulting, ergonomics consulting. So can you share more about your service?
Yeah, so not only do we offer the consulting when basically the house is already on fire, when somebody comes in and says, hey, we have so many injuries on this particular job site, I think it makes a lot more sense to spend a little bit of effort and time up front to make sure your setup is right. As Austin was alluding to, you know, you don't buy a bunch of chairs and desks and then find out, well, it's just like clothes. You know, it's not one size fits all.
Right.
So you have somebody sitting there that's 5'10", and then somebody else who is maybe 5'0", and they use the same setup, and one has to reach, one has to like stretch to get to the keyboard, and they might be sharing a particular work site. So to allow for a little bit of adjustment, those things all can help. But also spending time in the forefield, fitting the right potential employee to the job by saying, okay, why don't you guys come in and tell us what does this job physically demand? And so we might say, okay, to operate these hand tools, it requires a minimum of 55 pounds of gripping force. So you don't want to have somebody on that job with small hands who can barely generate 50 pounds of force, because they're now operating at over 100% of their capacity handling these tools, and you're surprised later on that they come up with symptoms of carpal tunnel, tendonitis, your tennis elbow and golfer's elbow. These are all things that are so avoidable, if we just match the employee to the correct work site.
Yes, that is so important. So it is important for people to be proactive and not reactive when it comes to setting up their employers.
Correct.
Just right. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing more about this topic. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
And if you would like more information about Summit Physical Therapy, we'll have their website listed below, and we'll be right back. This segment sponsored by Summit Physical Therapy.